Hello, everyone. Welcome to Social English. We have um, Bruce McGraw again um, in this episode, and I believe we have some interesting stuff to discuss today. Especially recently, I was thinking about the rise of the right wing and the use of religion and politics in the modern world, like instead of going to a more rational world. So I think we need to discuss that topic with Ross again. And okay, can you, Ross, please, can you tell our viewers first who didn't see the uh, episodes we made before? Can you tell them, like, briefly, what is your the magical universe is about, and what is your theory? Yeah.
Yes. My view of the magical universe is that underlying this whole creative process of the universe, the 13.8 billion year history of the Big Bang up to now, underlying that creative process is an intelligence. And in my book, The Magical Universe, and another one I wrote called The New Mythology, basically I go through some of the major points in that story to give examples of why I think there's an intelligence, because there's always these crises, and somehow the universe does something, creates a new species, creates a new entity to get out of this crisis. And
Yes.
so I think there's that inherent wisdom that the universe has. And so it's still there, but I think in the modern world, we've lost contact with that. And I think it's because we've lost contact with that deeper wisdom of the universe that we're having all of these problems today. Because when we lose that contact, we end up fragmenting ourselves, because that contact is what unifies us all. And so if we don't have that contact with this wisdom, we get fragmented, our egos take over, and we get into these separate little groups which just fight each other, and they're run by their egos. So when one group gets angry and does something to the other group, they just get angrier and do something back, and it just
Yes.
starts to pyramid up until you get to the mess we're in now. And
Yes.
one of my
So
biggest issues is the climate change problem, which I think is also a whole ego thing, because since we don't think there's any meaning in the universe and we're materialistic, we think we should just use up all the resources we can and enjoy ourselves now, because we're going to die. And so what does it matter anyway? So
yes.
I mean, briefly, that's what the magical universe is. There's an inherent intelligence in the universe and the whole creative process up to us, including us, and we've lost touch with that. And I think in order to deal with our problems, we have to get back in touch with that inherent wisdom, because the answers are there. We just have to hear them.
Yes. Cool. And I'll be honest with you. Like, I wanted to challenge you
Good.
on your book, because I know, like, great ideas revive and spread when they are challenged. I mean, if we leave your ideas just unchallenged, then yeah, they, like, people might forget them or not read about them anymore. And even you, like in your book, said that from the title, some people might think, well, the topic seems simple or not complicated, or it's not for highly educated people. I mean, that's what the notion from the magical universe title, but it's not like that, because when I read and I saw the content of the book, it was very hard for me to, like, especially when it comes to science. I'm not like you, like, you explained it in detail, but I cannot do that. I can argue, however, on some other matters. Let's say, like, some philosophical uh, things, because I think, for example, that in modern time, Islam is, for example, represents one of the biggest challenges in the modern world, because how you can take people away from a tradition that is so rooted in the society, and it's violent at the same time. And I want, yeah, to spread this idea of scientific thinking. So let me give you this question, okay? That the magical universe seems trying to bring peace to the human mind living in a cruel material world. We know that our world is very cruel. And can you guarantee that it will not be, your theory will not be hijacked by the religious establishment, whether Christian or Muslim or whatever? And before you start answering my question, I just want to say here that one of the funny stuff I have seen is that Noam Chomsky is the most quoted author by the radical Muslims. I know Noam Chomsky had done great research, especially with linguistics, but I don't know, like they use his quotations a lot. So I hope your theory will not be hijacked. So go ahead.
Well, there's no guarantee, I'm talking about wisdom teachers. So obviously we know, I would say Jesus was a wisdom teacher. I would say Muhammad was a wisdom teacher. I would say the Buddha was a wisdom teacher. And obviously the Buddha himself said after he came up with Buddhism, or, he said, probably in 1,000 years from now, nobody will recognize my religion. So it can always be hijacked. So, that's just up to individuals. You can't prevent that.
Yeah.
But I think from my point of view, you have to believe, first of all, that there's this deeper intelligence, this deeper wisdom. And in science, sometimes it's just called the quantum field.
Yes.
And if we put ourselves in touch with this quantum field, we feel connected to everything. We get out of our egos and we feel centered. And it's from that calm centeredness that we can think the most clearly. When we're caught up in anger and we're caught up with fear and we're caught up in our egos, we don't think very clearly. George Bernard Shaw said, anger is a bad counselor. And so we know ourselves. Sometimes if somebody gets us really angry, we say things we don't mean, even to the loved ones. And then when we calm down a little bit, we realize we said these terrible things. We didn't really mean them. We were angry. So we just wanted to lash out. But when we calm down, we saw things a little more objectively, and we usually come back and go, I'm really sorry, I got upset. And we know when we're calmer, we speak more clearly and more rationally. So I think in the modern age, we need to come at this from this calmer place. And that's, there's no guarantee that's going to solve all the problems. But at least one thing we know is it's not going to make the problems worse by coming at anger. Anger and fear always make problems worse. When you come at a group with anger and fear, it just stokes their anger and fear, and they want to come back at you because they're just as convinced they're right as you are that they're right. Yes. So I think we need to start coming at it from this calmer, deeper sense. And I think that way we make better decisions. It's not that we just immediately think, oh, the other side's good. We're still smart, but we see them actually more clearly than if you're angry. Yeah. And, there may be people on that side you could talk to and can be reasonable, because we have to put up with we have to be able to tolerate differences. And in the nuclear age, and in this age, we can't go about killing each other or in this manner. Yeah. We're going to destroy life on the planet.
It will be a mutual destruction, like everybody will go away. Yeah. But don't you think that you have a privilege which neither Jesus or Muhammad or any one of those guys had, which is, okay, if you publish your book, it will be always, your words will be always there. Like people will go, check them out, find the publisher, the author, they can make quotations, references. But when it comes to the ancient wisdom guys, I mean, we have different interpretations, different copies, different versions, which is a huge problem. Like you see how Europe went to war over some religious stuff, And the same happened in Islam, even to this very day, between the Sunni and the Shia. So your wisdom still has a privilege, which is we can't verify it, right? Which is different from Jesus or Muhammad or Moses. What do you think?
Well, I think wisdom, to me, wisdom is wisdom. And so when you hear wisdom, you know it's wisdom. And first of all, I think we know wisdom doesn't go to war and violence, right off the bat. I'm not saying it's never called for, but it would be an extreme, extreme situation. So when you get two sides going to war over their interpretation, then I would say that neither side has wisdom.
Yeah.
Because just from that. And the other thing I look at, and I do in my book, is you look at what Buddha says, you look at what Jesus says, you look at what Muhammad says, you look at Plato and Socrates, you look at all these different wisdom teachers, and they all say the same thing. They say it in different ways, but they're all pointing in the same direction. They're all pointing at the same thing. And once you realize that, and once you get a sense of that, you can recognize wisdom, because basically they're all saying the same thing. Buddha and Jesus are not going to war with each other. If they sat down, they would agree with each other. They would have no problems. In fact,
but Muhammad did go to war, right? And Moses also.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's why my problem with some teachers of wisdom, in quotation marks. For example, I still think like that Jesus, if you take it away from the dogma and Christianity and the churches who try to hijack the words of Jesus, I mean, he could be used for peaceful missions, for humanity, for even for loving each other. And also the Buddha is the same. Jainism as a religion, also, the more radical they become, the more peaceful they are, But I don't see that happening with every tradition. I mean, that's my problem with the tradition. And that's why, like, I wish you could separate your new wisdom from this old style tradition, which is problematic to me. What do you think?
Well, again, if the old style tradition locks you in your tradition, there's nothing wrong with traditions. When I talk about the magical universe, I'm giving what I would say is a universal creation story. We all participate in it. Every religion has their kind of creation story.
Yeah.
And now we know through science that literally they're probably not true. I mean, you can look at them more symbolically and whatever, but literally they're not true. We know they're not true.
Yeah,
but now we have this new story of science, and it applies to the whole planet, and it's a unifying thing. And to me, that doesn't mean you have to give up your traditions. You could still be a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew or a Buddhist or whatever, but you buy into this unifying story. And the rest of you just look at you maintain your traditions, but you just look at them from a deeper perspective. You look deeper into what, don't take things quite so literally. And so I think, the traditions can fit in to this. I'm not trying to get rid of traditions and make everybody think the same thing. You can have all your traditions, but we have to see that we're all unified in this thing. And that's a you have to experience that for yourself. And it may not work, but I think it's the only thing that can save the planet. We're heading towards destruction right now, and it seems like the way we're doing it, if we continue this way, we're just going to go to destruction. We have to try a different way. It may not work. Enough people may not change. It's very likely that's going to happen. But I'm just saying, if we're going to survive, we got to go in this direction. It's our only hope.
So you think and you believe that this fine-tuned universe, like there are philosophers who argue for the fine-tuned universe, and you did in your book also.
Right.
And okay, just before I forget, can you tell us when your book will be available on Amazon?
It's hard to say. I'm still working. I'm trying to I'm working on an audio version now, and then I want to try to get a hard copy of it, a print copy of it. So not only that it's on electronic, but hopefully in a couple months, I guess.
Okay. And okay, yeah, that would be great to see. And certainly, I will share it. We will do another episode about that once it's published. It will be great to talk about it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll
yeah,
enjoy that.
yeah, I experienced like that before. I have published two books, but unfortunately, Arabic books are not like no many people read Arabic in America.
Did you
Uh,
publish them here in the U.S.?
yeah, I published in here in the United States. I am famous in the Middle East. Like I have my audience in the Middle East, but I'm almost like unknown in America. But and that's why I'm trying to spread the word here. And I believe that it's great to talk to people like you who believe in humanity and that we all share the same faith, because uh, Earth is our mother. So, and we should take care of this mother, which took care of
Right.
us like for a long time. But let me ask you another question, which I don't know if I wanted to challenge you with this question.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, which is okay. That isn't it an uncomfortable contrast between the length of the miraculous journey of our universe, which is in billions of years, and the short notice, and you gave that in the book, that we get, yeah, in the magical universe, that our planet is going to be destroyed. Don't you think that some indifferent readers might say, we will be lucky again? It's that simple. What would be your argument with such a logic? I mean, okay, like like many times the universe fixed everything. Okay,
Right.
how would you argue if somebody say, well, we will be lucky again? Why not? Like, why not argue with that? That the universe will save us again.
Yeah. Well, this is because the crisis we have now is unique, different than all the other crises. And the reason it's unique this time is that human beings created it.
Okay.
The universe, it wasn't the universe going on its way, just running into these problems and then having to overcome its own problems, or its own
Yeah.
issues. I don't even know if there are problems because they used each one of these crises to like move it to the next stage.
Yes.
So it's crisis, it's opportunity. You can look at it however you want. And we're in another one of those crisis opportunities. But the difference here is that human beings, because, since the universe created human beings, we have free will. So
Yes.
we don't have to follow the dictates of the universe. We can go off and do our own thing, which is what we've done, because we develop these egos and this
Yeah.
sense of me as separate from everything else. And so that's what creates all these problems. So the unique thing is now the universe cannot solve this problem by itself. It can only solve this problem with the aid of humanity. So
Yes.
that's why it's not like different than traditional religions where maybe the traditional saying, well, God will save us, or the second coming is going to happen, or something. Somehow God's going to save us. You
Yeah.
can't say
And
that
that
the
was,
universe is
yeah.
going to save us. It has to work. We are co-creators now with the
Yes.
universe. We have to work together with the wisdom of the universe to solve this
Yeah.
problem. The universe can't do it without human beings.
Yeah. But don't you think that, okay, this issue of climate change is more like it's actually our problem, like it's our planet problem. I
Exactly.
mean, the universe don't even feel it if we go away. I mean, the universe will be there, like still going on. But as you said, like it's our problem. We should solve it, right?
That's right. And the universe, you're right. I mean, species come and go, and the whole creation
Yes.
evolutionary story, they've come and go. And we don't know. We might be, we have life here on the planet. There could be,
Yes.
there's trillions and trillions of galaxies out there. And so it's likely there's other life forms somewhere out there. And so there may
Yes.
be all these experiments the universe is going through, and some of them will make it and some of them won't. But
Well, not yeah.
some of them will go, and it'll go on to the next stages of evolution.
Yes.
So, you know, in the long run, does the universe care whether we make it or not? Maybe not.
Yes.
But we should care. And the universe saying, you know, it's
Yeah.
not like it's saying, I don't, it's not that I care, but I'm here if you want, if you guys choose to save yourself, I'm here with the wisdom to help you do that. But
Yes.
it's your choice. And so the magical universe says, let's partake in that wisdom, that magic, and work another magical thing. And let's move to the next stage. Let's get out of this problem and move to the next stage for ourselves. The
Yes.
universe is there willing to help us. It has the wisdom. We just have to be smart enough, wise enough to tap into it.
Yes. Um, yeah, but you know the difference between your theory or your the magical universe and the traditions is that, for example, the religious traditions, they they even like hostile to such a scientific view, especially like in the Islamic world, more than Christianity here, because I have seen Christians who believe in evolution and the scientific thinking, but also I have seen also Muslims who believe in evolution and
Right.
scientific thinking, but problems like they have more troubles saying it or expressing there than here. Even though even here we still in danger because, you know, as you said, like when people start thinking unscientifically and do not give other people the right to think and to doubt or make a new meaning of the tradition itself, it's a problem because it's like having a monopoly over interpreting the wisdom available, right?
Right. Yeah. No, I think in every religion, kind of pick up on your point, there's the unsophisticated view of that religion where you just accept everything on faith and don't challenge it at all.
Yeah.
And I think religions have, and I'm hoping it's growing, a more sophisticated element that you brought up of those people in Christians, Muslims, and other religions who are more sophisticated and try
Yes.
to blend in science with their faith. And
Yeah.
so, you know, I think every religion has, you know, people are all the way along. Religion isn't just one thing. It's a lot more than one thing.
Yes.
So there's lots of different perspectives. And I think some of them are, I would say, more wiser, more advanced, more sophisticated than other ones. And
Yeah.
so you're right. I mean, the other ones are the ones that
Yeah. Like they deal, some religions, like they deal more with how to do it than how to think it. Yeah. Because in Islam, I know like the majority of people, for example, I don't know, like I haven't seen a Muslim who would say, except for the Wahhabis in Saudi Arabia, like some of the leading clerics, but the majority of Muslims, they never doubt the earth is round, for example. And for them, it's a simple fact. But I have seen Christians here in America who say that the earth is flat. I mean, we are in the 21st century and they still believe the earth is flat. Like how things could be more insane, like more than that. But there are more insane stuff going on there. And uh, so that's why I think we need later, after the magical universe, we will need your uh, neo mythology. I mean, that would be um, maybe a kind of like support or addition to what is available in religions. Because as far as I have seen, like so far, I see that atheism is not successful in stopping this religious insanity. To be honest with you, like because when it comes to violence, I consider religion to be insanity. Yeah, craziness, nothing more.
well, fanatical more.
Yeah, fanatical.
I would agree with the fanatical one part,
Okay.
but not religion in general.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think that your neo mythology could bring something to that aspect of religion?
Yeah, when I get to the fanatics who say, the earth is flat, or that, the earth was created 6,000 years ago or something like that, and they really believe that, and, I don't think it's worth, you can't argue with somebody like that. I
Yes.
mean, you just let them go and not worry about them and move on to other people, and to try to put ideas in other people's minds, or at least give them things to think about, that are more open to that. I don't think we can waste our time with fanatics. I think we just acknowledge them. Obviously, if they're going to do terrible things, we have to pay attention. But
Sure.
just for their ideas, I don't think we should sit there and waste our time trying to argue with them, because
Yes.
probably it's not going to do any good. One of the things I think the new mythology, magical universe does is that I think some people who are religious don't like the science thing because it takes God out of the picture.
Yeah.
And then when it does that, it takes meaning and purpose out of the picture. And then people go, oh, that is too terrible. We're just here, then we die, and that's it. There's nothing else. There's no meaning. There's no purpose. And they don't like that. That scares them, and they don't like it. So they cling to
Yeah.
their belief because it makes them more comfortable. So what I'm trying to do is blend the two. I'm trying to say there is meaning and purpose, and you can be sophisticated if you just leap up to the next level
Yeah.
and see the things in a different way. So you can have your science, and you can feel that you're part of something bigger than yourself that's going on, and that there is a purpose to all this. So I think some people, maybe they don't like the science because it's so nihilistic, it's so
Yeah.
dark, it's so terrible, and a lot of people don't want to go there, so they cling. But if you look at it the
Yeah.
other way,
But don't you think that's a wrong conclusion? I mean, because, for example, we didn't have like these sophisticated legal systems, and we didn't have these great arguments about human rights, women rights, homosexual rights, like all the kinds of rights, and then like investigating a crime or putting a person on trial, with justice. I mean, that wasn't available with religion for a long, long time. Don't you think that that's just too much of simplifying what science actually did for humanity?
I'm not quite sure you're understanding, but I think that's all the signs which you brought up are signs of evolution, and we're moving in the right direction. The only problem with all the science and the progress is somehow the connection to this deeper wisdom, the universe, has been lost, and we've lost, and that's now causing the problem. So we need to bring back a certain spirituality, I think, to not to replace reason, but to couple with it. So you
Yes.
have the both. It's like we went from the heart to the head, then we forgot about the heart, and now we need to bring the heart back in to connect back up
Yeah.
with the head, so we can come at it with wisdom and heart at the same time.
What if I say that the heart is just a pump of blood? I mean, I mean, okay, like if somebody having a heart problem and then we replace it with an electronic device that does the same thing. So how can you deal with that? I mean,
Well, I don't know. Do you think love is a real thing?
uh, there is an kind of, we call it admiration, and
Have you ever loved somebody
yeah,
and don't you feel it in your heart?
well,
What is that?
yeah, like I cannot describe it. That's true, but not being able to describe it doesn't make it. I mean, because like I had, for example, a girlfriend who, yeah, her name was Martha. Like I still remember the experience until this very moment. Yeah, I can't deny that. Like I experienced that.
Yeah. So what is that? And you felt it here, right?
Yeah, I think I
In
felt.
your heart.
Yeah, but
But
that's the brain is telling you, or okay, something emotional is happening here, right?
well, your brain is registering that something emotional is happening.
Yeah,
Some of the wise people, like I think it was Ramana Maharshi, the great Indian
yeah,
sage, he said, we have a physical heart, but he says we also have a spiritual heart.
yes,
And and it's the spiritual heart, I think, that is and some people say spiritual heart, that's the old doorway to the infinite, the
Yeah.
doorway to, well, however you want to say it. I would say God, but I know God is got so many mixed meanings. It's hard to
Yeah,
use
like
that word.
they made him even a person, like
The ultimate, I know, it's going to the ultimate.
yeah,
It is there, because, and that's what Jesus said, you want to love your neighbor as yourself.
yeah,
So, and I think he meant your neighbor, not just your neighbor down the street, but
yeah,
your neighbor being everybody,
yeah.
that, and Confucius talked about, the wider our heart in love expands out, the more, the wiser we become.
Okay, by mentioning Confucius, okay, that's good. Okay, to remember here is that, for example, I see in these traditions some troubles because as much as there are, say, some great stuff, let's say, like about the heart, the soul, being humane to all humanity and or even all other creatures. Um, but okay, well, how you deal with a tradition that tells you that a woman's place is to obey her husband and father and brother, like to degrade women until she becomes like a second class person, and she could be even humiliated or insulted. How you okay? How you fix that problem with the tradition that we still have?
Well, I think, it's, I mean, you have to remember the tradition that we have now is what created that. So it's
Yeah.
like I'm coming with a different point of view. And so
Yes.
I think we're seeing that changing around the world now, gradually. Even, in Saudi Arabia, they imprisoned these women who were fighting for women's rights.
Yeah.
And I think I was just reading recently the one woman they were going to, I don't know, maybe you know more about this. They were going to retry her on something,
Yeah.
and so they wanted to make sure that everybody knew it wasn't because she protested for women's rights. There was some other thing that she was in
Yeah.
contact with foreign adversaries or what. So they were very aware that, while they have supposedly been giving women more rights in Saudi Arabia, like they can drive now, which they couldn't used to do. And so, that's supposed to be a sign that it's opening. So even in a country like Saudi Arabia, they're moving in this direction. And even when they still have, I mean, it's not perfect, but there's this worldwide movement that is just happening, and people realize it that they have to change. And the same thing with the Black Lives Matter movement, becoming more and more aware of this, and it's bringing gradually the change that we need. I mean, it's not like you grab onto the magical universe and magically everything's going to immediately change,
Yes.
but it's all a process that that we're
Yeah.
moving in. And while things are getting better in those areas, they're getting worse. The climate's getting worse and worse, and the antagonisms are getting worse and worse. So things are getting better and things are getting worse. So we just
Yeah.
have to be smarter to tone down the things that are getting worse. And I think we need a new perspective to do that.
Yes. Well, one of the problem I see, for example, in the Middle East, I am seeing because I can read Arabic, so I see, for example, those people who reject Islam in the Middle East, and they cannot say it most of the time in public. So they use fake names, fake accounts. They find a way to say it. But all what I see is that the majority of them, they have like a destructive point of view of religion. So they don't try to fix the religion of Islam. They reject the whole tradition itself. They say, oh, this is not fixable at all because, and you know more than me that humanity, sometimes our culture is a product of the environment itself. So, of course, somebody who grows up in a desert will be different from a person who lives in like near the North Pole or somewhere where, yeah, it's snowing and cold. So sometimes cultures are reflections of our hard environments, and we should like just discard them and start with your theory. I mean, okay, I can welcome your theory because it's based on science. Okay, I know that Bruce is better than, I mean, for me, better than Jesus or Muhammad or Confucius. So why should I go to Confucius if I have Bruce who I can verify?
Well, first of all, I don't think I have as much wisdom as those guys, so you can always benefit from their wisdom. And I think
Okay.
wisdom's not contained. It's not like you get it from one, at least for me. I mean, some people stay on one path, and I think it works for them if they're
Yes.
growing and developing. But I'm kind of eclectic, and I like to seek wisdom wherever it is.
Yes.
And it's always inspiring because I think you have to keep renewing yourself over and over again because it's easy to kind of fall back into a kind of a laziness and you get stuck in your ideas and then you think, well, only my ideas are right and everybody else is wrong. And,
Yeah.
then when they start attacking, you want to get more violent towards them. So you have to always renew yourself. So you stay open and, and willing to talk with
So
people about
yeah,
things.
before I finish like this great talk, I mean, I enjoy it. I just want to tell you also that Ibn Arabi in Islam fits your theory very well because Ibn Arabi, they call him in Arabic, he was a Sufi, a mystic who believed that God is not out of the universe, taking care of the universe.
Right.
God is the universe itself.
That's right.
So yeah, God
It's a
in, like,
mystic view.
yeah, like it's he's everywhere in everyone in every person. So even if a religious person, for example, suggested to insult an atheist, for example, he would see that an insult to God because even that atheist contains like God's power in him. So yeah, that was
That's right.
how he see it. Yeah, yeah, like he sees it, and it was
Yeah, well,
great.
every tradition has their
Yes,
mystical, Sufis is kind of the Muslim mystical tradition. The Kabbalah is the Jewish mystical tradition. And then we have the
yes,
Christian mystics from the Middle Ages sort of embody the Christian mystical tradition. And
yeah,
every has their tradition, which, basically is non-dualistic, which I mean by that there's not the God that's outside creating things, but God is the creation. It's,
yes,
it's the creation itself and we're all a part of it. And sometimes you talk about atheists, and you have to be careful about atheists because sometimes people will say they're atheists, but they're not really atheists. They just mean, well, I don't believe in a
yeah,
Christian concept of God. But then you explain like an Eastern, like a Buddhist sense, more of like what you just said. They'll go, oh, well, that I could be open to. That I might accept.
yeah,
But so
yeah.
you always have to be careful when you call somebody an atheist.
But
What exactly?
but we are talking about societies that denies even that right. Like if everybody had the right even to call themselves atheists, let's say, for example, some people like Richard Dawkins would say, I'm an atheist, or yeah. So a person should have that right? And
Oh
that,
yeah, definitely. Part of
yeah,
freedom of religion is freedom to not believe if you want.
exactly.
As long as what you're doing doesn't harm other people, innocent people,
Yes,
you can believe or not believe. It doesn't matter. I
yeah,
don't care. We just have to behave, ethically towards each other. And you can believe or believe however you
yeah.
want, as long as, you treat other people as you would like to be treated.
Equally, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And there, for example, in Islamic history, we know that the jurists of the Shia and the Sunnah, they used to make fatwas, like even decide, like kill them, destroy them, like it was very destructive. But the Sufis in both doctrines, they used to be friends. You see, so the Sufis, they
Right.
had a common language. They come together and become friends, whether when the other guys were going to war with each other.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yeah, so that's a good way forward. I mean, right there's a
yes,
model how to handle it.
exactly.
How come they could be friends with them and the other people couldn't?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they were in touch with that deeper level I was talking about.
Yes. So,
So yeah,
yeah. So I learned from you today, even okay, if we don't refer to it, as the heart. We should say, we should refer to it as emotions or feelings. So,
I mean, there's positive and negative emotions and feelings. So I mean, anger and fear are emotions too, I
oh
guess.
yeah, positive. Okay, positive feelings. Yeah, but we can make positive from the negative. Like, let's say we experience pain or loss, but we try to make a positive result from it, right?
Yeah, there's always a lesson in there.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
something to grow from. Everything is an opportunity to grow from
yeah.
if we look at it correctly.
Yes. Okay, Ross, it was great talking to you in this meeting, and I believe that we will meet up again in another one.
Okay, I look forward to it.
See
Thanks a
you.
lot for having me on today.
You too. Have a great day.
All right, bye-bye.